Hi, Chic West. This is PPP number 14. I'm Estelle Thompson, and this PPP is an introduction to this month's theme, which is cosmic creativity, a month about creative confidence, creative courage, a month about really digging deep into our creative lifestyle and the way we live our lives, and really acknowledging that creativity really is the force that animates everything. And I'm really, really excited about the content this month, both in the art, the yoga, and here. In the poll that I did in the Facebook group, you guys told me that you like this the most, which I didn't know. So I decided to make them maybe a little bit more prominent. They're not, they're going to stay short, and they're going to stay, I'm not going to make one once a week. To our month's theme, I thought we could get into some self-sabotage stuff and some stuff that comes up, over and over again. Patterns of self-sabotage in all its form. For me, self-sabotage shows up as perfectionism. It shows up as procrastination, and shows up as my inner critic. And I'm going to tell you something. It's a really brave month. And Chic West in general is brave. And as Brene Brown says, brave is vulnerable. So it'd be really, everything's normal. And it'd be really normal that a lot of stuff comes up this month because it's a chunky month. But the more chunky it is, I think the more release as well that can be found. Always works like that. Okay. Julia Cameron, in her The Artist's Way, the book The Artist's Way, which has been a Bible to me. This is my first book that's ever told me that creativity is a spiritual practice. Her first stage in recovering the artist within, it's recovering your sense of safety. So, asking yourself, do I feel safe? Because it's a legit thing to create something and want to die. Basically, you have a feeling you want to die. So of course, the perfection lantern comes up, and the procrastination lantern comes up, and then the inner critic shows up, and then of course you're not going to share anything if you don't think it's so I want to touch on all these things and hopefully give you super hands-on ways to unlearn and debunk all of that. All right, first, what is self-sabotage? And I want to give props here to an author I really love. Her name is Emma Gammon, and I can't wait for her book to come out on self-sabotage in September. And a lot of this has been inspired by her, but a lot of things I've mentioned before through other PPPs, but maybe I'm using different language that hopefully resonate. And sometimes I feel we need to hear the same stuff over and over again for it to really stick. I want you to know that any type of self-sabotage really is self-protection. So self-sabotage, in a way, it's not all bad. It just becomes bad, I guess, when it makes us feel like it gets in the way of our beliefs, basically. Because self-sabotage at its base, it just wants to protect us from, what we're fearful about. And self-sabotage that can be small and it can be really big. So, for example, a small self-sabotage that I have is way more when I was a baby yoga teacher, but I used to go to bed really late, and then I'd teach a 6 a.m. class at a yoga studio. That wasn't smart, but that was my own kind of self-sabotage, doing. Another self-sabotage, maybe bigger, was I had an opportunity to, be exposed somewheres, and, I just never emailed the people back, and that could probably maybe really detrimental to my career, as a professional artist. So it's important to identify the small sabotage and the big, sabotage. And also okay, we qualify self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is fear for sure. And I think a big thing is like fear of failure, but the fact that maybe I didn't reply to those people that sent me this opportunity to be display is also my fear of success. Like, what if it worked? What if it worked and like I make it really big because they give me this opportunity? So we have to look at both sides of the coin. Right. So first, it's nice to identify our own patterns of self-sabotaging, because my self-sabotage, my self-harm won't be the same as you guys, okay? So one thing that we do in the Zoom call is always what's working, what's not working. But when we do this together, it's really for us to be like, how about we amplify, what's working and do more of that? And why don't we silence, be like, okay, we're noticing what's not working and just, we're letting it there. And because we're like pinpointing that too, we're not giving it that much power. Emma Gammon has this exercise that she recommends we do our highs and our lows. So this is an exercise that I think it's in one of the beginning PPPs where, and I talk a lot with you guys too about doing an attention audit. This is something that we do in Chic West Initiation, where it's like pick one day and really notice what's happening in the self-sabotage pattern in one day. And pinpointing, okay, what's working in my day and what's not working. So for example, of course, write them down in your journal that day. I got my journal right here. So for me, morning is a really high, everything works for me in the morning. And I'm wondering if it's morning, it's I'm doing really good. I try not to check my social media actually until 10 a.m. I don't do it all the time because my social media is a lot related to my work. But so I find all my rituals that I do in the mornings become really, really potent. And of course, if I do my yoga practice in the morning, my breathing practice, my sitting practice, that's a really, really high for me. So in the high column, I have, I feel really high after doing all these things. Obviously, I don't do everything in the morning, but morning time is a really high time for me to do anything, to converse with my soul. So lows, and I wrote, they're really timely for right now. When I watch the news, after I watch the news, I feel drained, I feel scattered. After comparing myself. So a lot of these will be pertaining to social media. And so it's okay, so setting boundaries around that. So if I notice that's okay, so I don't really watch the news anymore because I know this is my lows. So to recap, pick one day where you say, okay, what's working in my day and what's not working, what makes me feel alive, what's not making me feel alive, and pinpointing that even when it's it's a huge self-awareness thing, to look at your day and being okay, this is not working for me, this is working for me, There's an app I love, it's called the Moment app, and it traces how much time I use on my phone. So that's been really awakening, for me. Your bank account statement will tell you, now it's a bit skewed because we're in this pandemic, but will tell you, what you spend the most time on, and stuff like that. So, yeah. Perfectionism. So, this is something that's really, really dear to me because I'm a recovering perfectionist, big time. So these are things that I've all done, and perhaps I've said before, but I'm just going to reiterate myself in other words. So, perfectionism, I think, stems, and it's funny because in high school, if I look back, I wasn't really a team person. My husband is he was in the football team and basketball team, and he's really competitive, and I've always kind of been a loner. So my perfectionist is really I was being in competition with myself so much, guys, that I almost not went and not taught yoga, I wasn't like gonna give up being a yoga teacher. My first teacher training that I took, like I literally did not teach for 5 years after that because I was just not going to be perfect. Like I was just not going to. So that's like a big thing for me. So to start taking action towards, recovering that, first is something I've talked about a lot before, but just lower the bar, like set the bar low, whether that be for your chic west, whether that be for your symbol work these coming months, and do it. Like practice makes perfect. Like, you want to work on your symbol kind of art, and it's like maybe this month you're like, you know what, I'm going to sketch my symbol every day, and that's what I'm going to do. So practice makes perfect. The third one is show your work to somebody when it's unfinished, and like true perfectionists will be like, no way, this is not gonna happen. But I'm gonna tell you a side note is like, for me, something that's really helped along with like practice make perfect is the 100-day project that I do every year. Or, right now on the art channel, we do 9 paintings a month. Or, so having, and in a sense, like, is a painting ever finished? I don't know. And so, making art in this way has really helped my perfectionist side. Also because art never ends up the way that you want it. Like it has something in your head and on paper ends up being, something else. And it's like accepting. And most of the time, it's like better than we even envision. And it's like, can we, get out of our own way and, just, exactly, like make way for peace, it's really like being a perfectionist, such a battle within, this is why art and yoga has been so instrumental in my recovery. So yeah, like show your unfinished work, like pick one person, whether you have a She Buddy in Chic West, whether you have a trusted friend, a best friend, and, show it to one person, you only have one person. And this month, I'm really, every time you guys, a lot of you just show it to me, I'm going to be like, show it on our community board. Like this is a safe place for you to share your work. Yeah. So that's good to start. One thing for procrastination that I've talked about before, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, is to break up whatever you're about to do break it up in pieces, like putting constraint, whether that be on your chic west work, on your symbol project, whatever, and saying, because sometimes that's what overwhelms us, is like we have so much choices. There's so much choice on the chic west platform. There's so much choices on Netflix. There's so much choices on my phone. There's choices anywhere, and like that in itself kind of paralyzes us. And that's your power to choose. That is huge, to be like, I'm choosing to do the next 4 months just my symbol project. This month, I'm choosing to just do the yoga channel. I'm choosing to just meditate 10 minutes a day. So the power to choose really is anchored in procrastination. Do what's overwhelming first. So again, that kind of stems into what you resist persists. And this is something I do in my business all the time. Like we've already have our taxes filed, my husband and I, because it's like, if we didn't do it, like we'll procrastinate until like the last date. And it always kind of ends up being like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad to do our taxes early. Another thing I'm going to suggest for procrastination, tell someone you're doing this. Tell someone you're doing Chic West and it's important to you. Tell someone that, you want to have more time for stillness. Society will never encourage you. Your family will never encourage you if they don't know, if it's secret. And that's something that comes up over and over again, you guys wanting to find the time, don't find the time, claim the time. and that's a huge one. And so, you tell one person, you tell your partner, and they're like, oh, how's that going? And that holds you, accountable to do that. So that helps for procrastination. And then the last one, another one that I've touched on PPP, but it's really the fake it till you make it. And I know there's been issues with that one, but I still love that one. That's literally how I got to be a yoga teacher. I just faked it. I was a teacher that, wasn't doing a class perfect. I just faked the fact that I was, an imperfect yoga teacher. And I made it, I'm now a, well-known, recognized yoga teacher. And I made that happen for myself, but it, it came out of my worst fears, So that's what I have to say about procrastination. The inner critic really stems from, it's so far from soul, you guys. The inner critic is all ego. And the inner critic can be such an overwhelming, powerful voice in our lives. And to this day, I still engage with my inner critic all the time. So everybody, deals with their inner voices. Actually, I saw something going the other day of some people have inner voices, but that hasn't been my case. So on that, I have 3 things about, helping to really nurture the inner artist within. And the first one, I actually posted about that yesterday, and is to talk to yourself in a kind way. When the inner critic comes, you say, but sweetheart, can you take a breath now? And you take a breath. Talk as if you were talking to a friend that you overheard was telling these things to herself, Sweetheart, take a breath. Okay. And to kind of make the inner critic, there's an inner critic and there's an inner kind person in yourself, that inner soul voice is there as well. Another one, and we've done exercises on that before. So, imagine you are speaking to yourself as a child. And this is something I did in my own yoga teacher's, journey where, I wrote letters to Estelle that was 25 years old. And told her things that I knew now, after 10 years of doing this, how would you talk to yourself 10 years past, or how would you talk to yourself when you were 7 years old? So, and the last thing, so that's the secret I'm going to share with you. I have a drawer on my desk. You guys see my desk behind? I have a drawer that is filled with students' notes, testimonials, kind words. There's my husband's cards in there too. But and when I feel low, when I feel like the world does not have my back, I open that drawer and I read the letters. So some of you have mailed me gifts. Some of you have, the cards. Some of you made me cards. Unbelievable. And I read them. And I hold on to those because the negative is so easy to stick. And I always think why the letters? Why don't I know them by heart? Why don't I know this about myself? So that's helped. So to that point, have yourself a jar and literally have things in there that people have told you, whether that be card or even comments on Instagram or something, people that have said that, your art has made them feel. I think it's important to have that.